Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I want to talk to you about five main subjects today. Number one is the most recent, literally within the last couple of hours, and most brutal missile attack from Lebanon on Israel from an unknown source. That's the first thing that I want to talk about. Then I'm going to be talking about the latest updates from Gaza. The third thing that I want to talk about is a very dangerous warning from the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to all of the heads of the security, military, and political leaderships in Israel, all of the top heads in politics, in military, and in intelligence. And I wanted to also talk to you about the fight between the IDF chief and members of the Likud party that Netanyahu belongs to, alongside a couple of other things. The first thing first, obviously, Hezbollah. Well, we're not sure if it's Hezbollah. What we're sure of is 70 missiles were launched at Israel at once, all at once, from Lebanon. Hezbollah, they reported that the enemy's press, the enemy's media, said that X amount of missiles landed on Israel. They did not take any responsibility. However, we need to clarify a couple of things here. With regards to any activity from South Lebanon, it usually happens with the knowledge and approval of Hezbollah because they are in charge of the southern part of Lebanon. They could be the ones who have launched the missiles. It could be one of the Palestinian resistance movements approved by Hezbollah, of course. It could also be Amal movement, which is another militant group that has representatives in the Lebanese parliament, but they're also active militarily, and they participated in the 2006 Lebanese-Israeli war. As a matter of fact, many groups back then participated in that war, and not just Hezbollah. Why now, and why such a heavy barrage? Well, it could be due to different reasons. Number one, a message from Hezbollah primarily to Israel that their attacks and their invasions that they obviously countered very well, successfully, they won't pass without retaliation. The second message could be that this is a small amount of missiles in one go, and we are able to do way more than that. I mean, to be fair, Hamas raised the bar so high up on the 7th of October that we don't know if any other group or country will meet that threshold. I mean, they launched 5,000 missiles on Israel in a matter of 24 minutes. And Hezbollah is capable of doing that. But with regards to them, that's obviously a message to Israel. Israel still didn't blame Hezbollah, by the way. They just reported that we had this amount of missiles on Kiryat Shmone in the Galilee. However, they still haven't blamed Hezbollah directly. When the time comes, they will obviously say Hezbollah is responsible, and the Lebanese government too. Because to them, everything coming out of that territory is the Lebanese government's responsibility. That's why Egypt is very wary of Palestinian activities from within Sinai, so that Israel doesn't start blaming them as a country for these attacks or potential attacks. It wasn't just these missiles, by the way. Hezbollah also had 5 other attacks on Israel. Israel attacked other parts of Lebanon. Hezbollah, particularly, the main attacks they had today was one of them was in Birkit Risha, attack on Israeli force, and another one in an area called Mais el Jabal. And they also previously attacked Kiryat Shmone, but the recent 70 missiles we're talking about is literally tonight. The other thing that I want to talk about is obviously Gaza. Gaza, no signs of any resistance going anywhere, really. 5 months into this genocide, this barbaric genocide, Israel is obviously punishing the Palestinians, committing crimes against humanity, starving the people to death, starving children to death. We have Western countries sitting silently, supporting this genocide state. However, they can't really find any sort of success and accomplishment when it comes to the resistance. I mean, today Al-Qassam brigades, on their own, they targeted 4 tanks and 2 bulldozers with Yasin 105. And they also detonated a house where IDF troops were hiding. Israel, typical massacre on Al-Nusayrat camp in Gaza. And we've had a couple of other attacks from the Palestinian resistance movement. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the progress with the negotiations. So obviously, Israel is still delaying things. You know, the US is telling you the ball is in Hamas's court. Really and truly, Hamas told you we have our red lines when it comes to this. But now we've had a delegation in Egypt and Israel wasn't there, as if they're kind of sending a message. However, they're still technically participating. But we've had a report from an Israeli website called Wallah that Israel is having a difficulty and is actually surprised by the Hamas demand, on persisting to get people back to the northern part of Gaza. Excuse me, wasn't Wallah who reported this? Another Israel website. The Wallah reported the other thing that I want to talk to you about. But Israel is surprised with Hamas's persistence on getting people back to the north. So one of Hamas's main conditions is letting the civil population back to the north with the full aid that they need and temporary housing. I'm not sure why Israel is really finding this strange, because the Hamas, it's a very strategic move. They know that Israel wants to take Gaza bit by bit and they're going to start with the north. However, look at the bravery of the Palestinian people. 700,000 are still there despite literally famine, despite the starvation. Hamas want to make sure that they're all fine up in the north. Israel obviously doesn't want that, and they're sending messages with the bombings of the aid trucks to the north. That's why you have the airdrop aid, multiple countries, and you have increasing criticism of Israel when it comes to this, and more and more countries are openly saying that it's unacceptable, you can't do that. However, they're surprised. The other thing with regards to the negotiation is obviously them not going to the last meeting held in Egypt, as if they're sending a message. But that's also a technique from Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu wants to delay this as much as possible, and he wants to make life hell for his negotiating team even, and for everyone involved, because he's getting pressure from his main 2 allies in the government, Ben Gvir and Smotrich, the National Defense Minister and the Treasury Minister, Minister of Finance. They want him to increase the war. They want him to expand the war, which leads me to the report that was made on Channel 12 in Israel about a heated exchange between the IDF chief Herzi Halevi and not these two, but the Likud party. Okay, so he had a meeting with the Likud party, some of the politicians, obviously not just the Likud party, but they started criticizing him and the Israeli army. You're being too slow. We're not seeing significant advancements and accomplishments. We expect more from the Israeli army. Herzi Halevi, he was reported to start shouting at all of them, saying that if it wasn't for us, there wouldn't have been a ground invasion. We are the ones that convinced the government to go on a ground invasion. You didn't want it, so basically don't come and lecture us. However, this is just signaling, again, the level of division between the political and the military leaderships in Israel, including within each part of the government and parts of the military as well. They're divided within them too, but the main friction is between the political level and the military level. And across the society of Israel as well, not just within politics. Another important thing that was reported this time, this one was in Walla, that Yoav Gallant, the Israeli defense minister, he sent a written warning. He warned leaders in Israel previously, intelligence leaders, Shabak leaders, the prime minister himself. However, he's learning the lessons from the 7th of October and that everything has to be written, etc. So he sent a written warning to all of the leaderships in Israel when it comes to politics and military. Prime Minister, IDF Chief, head of Shabak, head of the Mossad, all of them combined, he sent them a warning with regards to the West Bank. He said that we could have an explosion. He was warning from an explosion in the West Bank, which will lead to withdrawing forces from Gaza and from Lebanon. His problem is obviously the talks, the increasing threats from Ben Gvir and co. with regards to Ramadan, preventing people from praying, although Netanyahu had some sort of a clarification, but again, he's shady and it's open to multiple interpretations. But he's saying it could explode. We can really reach an explosive situation and things might be extremely tense when it comes to this. So these were the main things that I want to talk to you about today. As usual, I hope I added some beneficial information for you, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Take care.